Good afternoon. Welcome to the Entrepreneurship Forum. This is going to be fun today. I met Kevin last year when Robert Peterson came and talked, and I got 3 bottles of Snap Daddies. I got Sweet Kisses, an original, and the hot.
Slappin' Hot.
Yep, Slappin' Hot. And these are good sauces. And the thing that's exciting about Kevin is that he started this business and it's growing, and he's now in 7 states selling the Snap Daddy's sauce. And it's not your typical barbecue sauce, and he's going to tell you why. I just know it tastes good. And Kevin is happily married with 4 children. The boss is here in the corner, and he's a member of Rotary. He's been a Boy Scout, an Eagle Scout, and he's a frequent supporter of our DECA here at the college. So let's give him a big hand and welcome him. He's going to tell you about it. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you, Doctor. How are you?
Good, thanks.
First of all, I want to say thank you very, very much for inviting us. We're always excited to share what little knowledge we have with whoever wants to hear it. And hopefully we don't put all of y'all to sleep today. This is a participation class. I will forewarn you, if you don't participate, it's going to be really boring. Okay? How many of y'all got your cups coming in? You got spoons? You got napkins? No spoon? You didn't get a spoon? Man, I can't even hire good help nowadays.
Good fire, she'll be happy.
Well, I've already tried to do that 3 times today, you know, and it hasn't worked yet.
I'm not even supposed to be here.
That's true, she's not.
We're glad you're here.
For those of you that don't know, Jen is my wife, and I have to be very sincere when I say this. If it wasn't for her, we wouldn't have a company, and I'll get into why I say that in a little bit. But how many of you have heard or tasted or tried Snap Daddies before? 2. Good. 3. You don't count because you have to taste it every time. Wait. Grab that right there. You think I'm kidding? Right here. Are you going to make me walk this up to you? What's your name?
Dawn.
Dawn?
Yep.
You thought I was joking here. This is yours right here. You missed the part where this is a participation class.
Okay.
There you go, buddy. Hi, how are you? I'm great. Welcome to class. What's your name? Nicole. Grab your little cups and everything and then find you a seat. That'll work right there. Don took your cups because he walked past earlier. All right. This is the serious part of it. Okay, so we've got 3 people that have tried Snap Daddies, right? Is that correct? Okay, I'm just going to say it early and I say it often. We're like every good drug dealer. So the first hit's free and you're fixing to get it, and then you're going to be hooked for life. Okay? So, if everybody will take out their cups, line them up in a row. Make sure you don't get them confused. Our first flavor is Sweet Kisses. We say it's almost as sweet as your mama's. What makes us different and what makes all of our products different is we have no MSG, we have no gluten, and we have no high fructose corn syrup. So for barbecue sauces, that puts us in a category of about 1 in 8. So if you'll take this, and I'll do Tony's for him, just take a little dab and squirt a little bit in your cup and set it down. Nobody gets to taste it yet. Okay? Our second flavor is the original. We say it's so good you could slap your mama, but we don't recommend you do that. This is a traditional Texas-style barbecue flavor sauce. There's no liquid smoke in it, so it makes it easier to digest. Won't leave you with a bitter aftertaste. And again, there's no MSG, no gluten, no high fructose corn syrup. So again, only because I like Tony. Demonstration. Put a little bit in the bottom of your cup, pass it on. All right? The last flavor we have is our slapping hot. We say it's like Mama when she's mad. I say it's more like trying to win an argument with a woman, because it starts out as a nice, pleasant conversation, but the more you push her, the hotter she gets. You just need to know when to walk away. And it's at this point in time my wife says I haven't learned that last part. So, again, cup, little bit in there, pass it on. Now, as y'all are doing that, let me give you a quick history of who Snap Daddies is and why we're important, even though people at my house say we're not. We started in our kitchen. We started making a sauce. It was my, let me back up. Let me tell you what I wanted to accomplish today while you guys are doing this. So there's no hidden agendas. But I want to give you a quick history of the company, where we've been, what we do, where we're going, okay? And then some of you are recent graduates of high school. Some of you may not be. But if you guys will indulge me for just a minute, and I don't know why I'm supposed to be doing this, but I just felt it pertinent today. I want to read you a letter that I wrote to my daughter. She's graduating. And as a big, fat, boring dad, to a kid who knows everything, and to a kid who reminds her dad a lot like her dad was to his dad, I'd like to read it to you and indulge you in that. And then we'll open it up for questions. Is that fair? Okay, so before we get done, you should wait on your lunch till you get some sauce to put on your sandwich. All right. Okay. So, any questions before we get started? Remember, this is a participation class. You don't participate, it's a boring class. Okay. Feel free to stop me at any time, too, if you need. We started our company in June of 2011. If you would have told me what we were getting into, A, I would have told you you're crazy, and B, I wouldn't have started. Just being candid with you. We make barbecue sauce. That's all we make. And people said we could make money off of it. I told them they were absolutely crazy. Everybody's got a barbecue sauce recipe. There's 1,000 of them on the market. And why would people want to spend good money on a dumb bottle of barbecue sauce? And then I came home and I told my wife what somebody had said at work, and she says, I think they're right. I think you can make some money off of it too. And I had to look her straight in the eyes, and with the utmost sincerity, I said, you're as crazy as they are. Nobody's going to spend good money on barbecue sauce. How many of you know anything about the food industry? Kinda. How many of you shop at a grocery store? Well, then you participate in the industry. But what most people don't understand is when you have a new product, if it is good enough, and that's a big two-letter word, if it is good enough to get on a grocery store shelf, odds are it's going to take you 2 years to get there. See, most of y'all walk down the grocery aisle and you say, oh, I like this and I like this. You put it in your basket, you go home, you eat it, you never think twice about it. You come back to the store and you do it again a week later. To get a little bottle like this on a store shelf normally takes about 2 years. And that's if you're good enough to get there. In 2.5 years, we've been very fortunate that our company distributes our product in over 7 states. We're in over 500 grocery stores. We got 130 plus commercial accounts. And we still haven't figured out what we're doing. One of these days we will. One of the things that I've learned is you never, as an entrepreneur, you never have to reinvent the wheel. You just have to smooth it out. You just have to make it look prettier. You just have to make it look right. Has to work better. Whatever it is that you're fixing to peddle, whatever it is that you want to go into, my first advice is don't reinvent the wheel. In fact, we've counseled over 60 companies in the last 3 years. We've handpicked 5 of them, and those 5 can tell you that we've helped them out a little bit. But before anybody comes in to talk to us, I ask 3 questions. And I ask you to do it before you come in. Because if you do your homework, then I can have time to spend with you to answer whatever questions you may have. If you don't have time to do your homework, then I probably don't have time to help you. But the 3 questions are as follows. Number 1, what is your cost per unit? Now, what does that mean? How much does it cost to make 1 unit of your product? So, for example, barbecue sauce, we have tomato paste, we have salt, we have garlic, we have whatever else we put in there. And we may use a teaspoon of salt. To find out what your cost per unit is, you got to figure out how much that teaspoon of salt costs. And you got to figure out how much that batch of sauce that you make yields from all the ingredients that you put in it. And then you take that lump sum of the batch cost divided by the number of bottles that you're able to create in our case, and that gives you a cost per unit after you've added in the bottle and the cap and the label and the labor and some overhead. But that gives you a cost per unit. If you're a massage therapist, it's the oils that you use. It's the laundry that you do with your tablecloth. If you're a computer scientist, it's the computer. It's the electricity. It's the manpower. Whatever it is, you have a cost associated with your widget. And this is a widget. For those of you that don't know, my background is supply chain management, logistics, and transportation. It was my job for 23 and a half years to make sure that the right product went to the right place at the right time for the cheapest cost. And I worked with a little company called Accenture. And I worked with a little company called Compaq Computers. And during that time, I helped McLean Distribution, and I helped Walmart, and I helped another little computer company called Dell, transportation company called Ryder Logistics, some company called Frito-Lay. I think they make chips. But through that process, you learn a lot, and you find out, and I say this, and you'll hear it when I read you the story to my daughter, that nobody invents the wheel. They perfect it. So that's my first advice. Find out what your cost per unit is. My second advice is when you grow up, what do you want to be? In my particular case, and I'll use me as an example, did we want to be a company that just sold at farmers markets? Did we want to be a company that just sold at a couple of local grocery stores or maybe regional grocery stores? Or did we want to be a national brand? And the answer to that is the latter. We wanted to be a national brand. And we're one of the few Fortune 50 companies that have 4 employees. We're not there yet. We will be. The reason I say, and the reason I ask, what do you want to be when you grow up, is because you got to build the foundation today to get to where you want to go tomorrow. You can't build a shoddy foundation and expect to have a nice big mansion on top of it, if that's what you want, and have it withstand the test of time. We at our company have our org chart laid out, and unfortunately, there's 4 names that cover about 150 jobs. But when the time comes, as we grow, as we need that slot filled, we know what that slot is. We know what their job profession is, and we know roughly how much we can pay them. Now, if we were going to just sell at farmers markets, that's a whole different deal. In fact, that's where we started. At the time, we could make 4 12-ounce bottles in a batch, and we worked really, really hard, and we made 36 bottles. And the only farmers market that would take us was Bountiful. So we went up to Bountiful Farmers Market. We paid our $5. We set up our little booth in the back of the bed of the truck. We had our sample cups that you all have now. We pour our sauce in it and we'd say, taste it. People looked at us like we were crazy. What am I supposed to do? Dip my finger in there? Shoot it? How am I supposed to taste this? We didn't know what we were doing. Had no idea. But we ended up selling out halfway through. We ended up giving away samples. The next week we worked twice as hard. You a math genius, Andrea? What's 2 times 36?
72.
That's exactly how many bottles we made. 72 bottles. We went back to the same farmer's market as we're setting up. My daughter looked at me and she said, Dad, that guy across the way sells bread. Why don't you trade him a bottle of sauce for a loaf of bread? Then we can cut the bread up, we can put it in the cups, and as people taste the sauce, then they kind of get an idea. Genius. I went and traded for a bottle of bread, or a loaf of bread. We ended up cutting the bread up. We ended up sampling our sauce. We ended up selling out halfway through and having to give away damn samples again. So the next week, we worked really, really, really hard. We made twice as much as 72. So Melissa, how many is that?
148, or no, 144.
144. That's correct. We obviously have a math student here on the front row here. 144. We took all 144 bottles up there. This time we had spoons for those that couldn't eat bread. This time we had cups, so we're learning along the way. And we ended up selling 142 of those 144 bottles in the little farmer's market of Bountiful. It was then and only then that I came home to my wife having to admit somewhat of defeat and say to her, okay, you may be onto something. Maybe somebody will pay money for this barbecue sauce. It was about that time that my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer. It's an ugly, ugly disease. I was trying to take care of her. I was trying to do my job, which the only people that would hire me was a mortgage company. And for me, I hated it. It was like drinking water from a fire hydrant and trying not to die of dehydration. I absolutely hated it. And my wife came in one day and she says, honey, you look miserable. I said, really? Really, I hate my job. My mom's dying. What's there to like? She says, listen, I'll make a deal with you. That barbecue sauce company, I said, I don't want to hear anything about barbecue sauce. Nothing. She goes, well, just hear me out. She says, I'll make a deal with you that if you pursue this company and see what it would take to make it work, take care of your mom, I won't have a problem if you quit your job. I'll get 2, 3, 4 jobs, whatever it takes. But you need to promise me one thing. And I said, what's that? She says, you never quit. You never quit. If you never quit, I will support you as long as the day is. And I did. I quit my job, took care of my mom. Thank goodness she's still around and doing very, very well. And we have a company thanks to my wife and her support. And I mean that in all sincerity. If it wasn't for her, this company probably wouldn't be around. So, it started out us having barbecue sauce. We had have gotten into a lot of trouble and a lot of fun, I guess, along the way. And the first big contract that came our way was we were trying to figure out how to get our product into grocery stores. And nobody would accept us. Nobody. We dropped off samples 100 times. No return phone call. No nothing. Nobody needs another barbecue sauce on a shelf. There's 100 of them already. Need another hole in your head like you do another barbecue sauce. So we got thinking, how in the world can we market our product? And if you look at the history of most barbecue sauces, they come from some guy who has a really good recipe, who's become a pit master, and his sauce is what makes his food good, and that's why you buy it. Or they open a restaurant, right? Which leads me to my third statement. And this third statement is, when you grow up, who's your competition? And if you say you don't have competition, you haven't followed the first two. Everybody has competition. We saw in our market, it was a $325 million annual spend on barbecue sauce. We know the demographics. Average household income is $17,500. Average age is 28. We know that the average purchase cycle is once every 21 days. We knew all that. But what made us different? Why us? It's not until you learn who your competition is that you can actually be better than them. Our competition is Sweet Baby Ray's. Our competition is Famous Dave's, and I'm not afraid to say it. Our competition is Stubbs. I can tell you everything about Sweet Baby Ray's from its inception up until about 2 years ago. I can tell you how they started in some dude's house. I can tell you how it was two brothers. I can tell you how one of their buddies who was a marketing genius came back from college and needed a job. I can also tell you the mistakes they made. And it's not until you learn your competition's mistakes that you can expedite them. You can magnify what they've done good, you can avoid what they've done bad, and then you can become better. I'm happy to say, very happy to say, that Snap Daddies did what Sweet Baby Ray's did in 7 years. We've done it in 2. And the reason I know that is because I know my competition. Okay? Those are probably the 3 biggest questions I would give to any entrepreneur. What's your cost per unit? What do you want to be when you grow up? And when you grow up, who's your competition? What we did to market our product is we'd much rather be the official barbecue sauce at tailgates of the NFL than to win any cooking competition. Any. It's eyeballs. It's people seeing your product. It's people tasting your product. We were very fortunate that we thought out of the box a little bit, and we signed a deal with the Utah National Guard. We were the first non-national company to sign with a state guard anywhere in the Union. And many of you may not know this, but the Utah National Guard is the oldest state guard of the Union. We were able to sign a deal with them where we would go to all their tailgates, both BYU and Utah, set up in their booth. We would make pulled pork, put it in our cup, have people walk by, try our sauce, and hear what the Utah National Guard had to say. It was a great crowd pleaser. People could smell it a mile away. Once I signed that deal, I picked up the phone, I called Associated Foods, and I said, hey, listen, I'm just curious. This is Kevin Jones. Snap Daddy's barbecue sauce? Yeah, the same one that has about 12 samples on your desk. Listen, I'm just curious. Where do we tell people to buy our product? You know, we signed this deal with the Utah National Guard We're in front of 100,000 plus people every Saturday for the next 12 weeks. Where do we tell people to buy our product? Just curious. 10 days later, we were in 29 grocery stores. Now, we service those grocery stores to no end. And those grocery stores referred to other grocery stores. And then we were at 49 grocery stores, and it was just my wife and I. We made the sauce, we boiled the sauce, we labeled the sauce, we delivered the sauce, we did the invoicing, we collected on the bills, we sampled the sauce. In fact, in the first 2 years, we did over 450 in-store demos. Yes, ma'am.
So where were you cooking the sauce after you got this big contract?
That's a great question. It was in our bathtub.
She's a good housekeeper then.
Yes. That's why we wear long sleeves, because our arms used to be stained up to here, stirring it and all. No, we got very lucky, and we purchased a kitchen in South Salt Lake. It's a 4,000 square foot kitchen, and that's where we make all of our product. But that too, in and of itself, was a huge gamble for us, because we had only sold $1,500 worth of product, and here we bought a $400,000 kitchen. But the kitchen established us. The kitchen proved to people that we're real, we're not going away. Yeah, trust me, when you're an entrepreneur, you're the last one to get paid. And we're going to make this really fancy cookbook in a year or so called 101 Ways to Eat Top Ramen, because that's what we've been living off of. So, that being said, it got really fun when we got to 89 grocery stores. Again, it was Jen and I. Again, it was us making sure our stuff was on the shelf. Again, it was making sure the sauce was made and the labels were made, and so we decided to hire our son. How many of y'all are 23? How many of y'all are living in your parents' basement? How many of y'all are still trying to figure out what you want to do? How many of y'all, now that you're 23 and can legally buy alcohol, stay up all night and play video games? First lesson for our son was very simple, and it's one that can convert to any entrepreneur. First of all, no one gives a damn what time you go to bed. No one gives a damn what time you get up in the morning. Come to think of it, nobody even really gives a damn if you deliver what you say you're going to deliver. But if you don't give a damn, nobody else will. And that is the hardest lesson to learn as an entrepreneur. You have to be a self-starter. You're the first one in the office, you're the last one out, and you're the last one to get paid. Unfortunately, our son doesn't work for us anymore. Great guy. Highly recommend him. Just not at Snap Daddies. Okay? We also have found at Snap Daddies, how much time do we have?
You got 20 minutes.
Okay. We've also found at Snap Daddies that the harder we work, the luckier we get. It's kind of crazy that way. For example, we're doing demos up in Park City. We're sampling our product, trying to get people to taste it. And this couple comes down and they start talking to my wife. Just bought a new home there in Park City. Trying to fill their shelves. They love the sauce. They bought a case of it. It's a lot of sauce. Come to find out, they also live in L.A. They have a little house in Beverly Hills. It's this place down in L.A. And they were going to have this big barbecue. And they needed sauce. So they took the case of sauce down to Beverly Hills, and they had this big barbecue, and they invited a few of their little friends. And one of them took a liking to it. And we got a phone call as we were setting up for another demo. Hello? Jen says as she answers the phone. Yes, okay. Do you mind talking to my husband about this? Because he's the one that plans all that. See, that's how we pass the buck. All I remember, Melissa, here, I think it's a fake.
I think I used a different word, but we will quote it word for word.
This is Kevin. How can I help you? Hi, listen, I got to be honest with you. I've never tried your product. My boss has, thinks it's fantastic. We want to use you in our next event. Okay. Where do you live? We live in Los Angeles. Okay, let me get this straight. You haven't tried our product, but your boss has. You live in LA. We don't have distribution in LA. How did your boss try our product? Well, he had some friends that just bought a house in Park City. They really liked it. They bought a whole case. They took it home. They had a barbecue at their back of their house. He really likes it. He thinks he'd be perfect for your next event. Great. What is it? Well, we do the red carpet swag bags for the Emmys. Would you be interested in coming down to the Emmys and putting your sauce in the celebrities' bags, getting your picture taken with them? We'd love to have you. Can you make it? I think it's a fake too, honey. Hey, listen, can you do me a big favor? I'm setting up for a demo right now. Can you send me some information? I'll get back to you. Sure, no problem. What's your email address? Confirmed it, hung up the phone, didn't even think anything about it. I waited 2 weeks to read that damn email. 2 weeks, because it was a fake. So then I called my cousin, who happens to be in a business. Her husband's the set director of Hawaii Five-0. It's this little show over in Hawaii. He talks about cops and stuff like that. Maybe you've seen it. I said, Kristen, do me a favor. Can you check this company out and see if they're for real? She calls me back 2 days later. She says, Kev, yeah, they're for real. Not only do they do the Emmys, they do the Golden Globes, they do the BETs, they do the MTV Awards, they do the Oscars, they do the Grammys, and about 4 or 5 others. So first thing we did was look at our pocketbook and realize that's going to cost a lot of money. That's a huge risk. That's huge. 10 grand. That's a lot of balls of sauce. Huh? Buys a whole lot of ramen. You could actually almost afford steak with that ramen at 10 grand. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that's a huge risk. But we took it. We took it. And in September of last year, we got to hobnob with some of the biggest stars in television and movies at the Emmys on the red carpet, passing out our sauce and having them endorse our product. There's this one gal by the name of Penny Marshall. Anybody know who she is? Us older folk do. You don't know who she is? She starred in this show called Laverne and Shirley. She was Laverne. She's also the most powerful woman in Hollywood for the second year in a row, because she's taken that talent and she's gone to writing scripts and producing movies and television programs. And even though you've never heard of her, Melissa, she's a pretty big name. I have to remind my kids, I'm the same way in our own house. No, you're not, Dad. Nobody knows who you are. Please. So Penny Marshall came up to our booth. The producer of the show came up and said, Miss Marshall, this is Snap Daddy's. This is that really good barbecue sauce I want you to try. And Megan, she got in my face.
Was she an intimidating woman?
I don't even like barbecue sauce. And she didn't move. She didn't move. She's this tall. I'm out to look down at her. She's looking at me. I don't even like barbecue sauce. Producer looks at her and says, well, Penny, can we at least get a picture of you and the product? And is that okay?
Yeah, whatever.
I guess. So she stands next to me. One of the things we pride ourselves on at Snap Days is everybody's important. I don't care if you're the janitor. I don't care if you're the rock star. Everybody is a potential customer and everybody's important. So I put my arm around her. Miss Marshall, I want you to know I grew up watching Laverne and Shirley. Wednesday night, 7:30, Channel 4, ABC, right after Happy Days. I love that show. She looked at me and she says, well, we were all a lot younger back then trying to figure our way out. I said, that may be true, Miss Marshall, but you haven't aged a day. Click goes the camera. She turns and she looks at me, and she looks back over at the producer, and she looks at me, and she looks back over at the producer, and she looks at me, and she says, all right, let's try that barbecue sauce. 48 hours later, we had a meeting with the producer. We walked in, and he was hanging up the phone. He looks at me and goes, I got to tell you the good news. That was Miss Marshall. She called for 2 reasons. Number 1, to say thanks, what a great event. And number 2, to say that she was wrong. That barbecue sauce company you had there, that you made me try, got to tell you, it's the best stuff I've ever had. My family had it on our meal last night. I owe them an apology. Thank you. Even a blind hog gets an acorn every now and then, as we say in Texas. That led to an event in December of being on entertainment television, E.T. Is that what it's called? E.T.? Entertainment Tonight. That was for the month of December. And then in the month of January, which was 5 days ago, we were asked to do the food for a little event called Sundance. Anybody know what that is? Film Festival. Yeah, Sam, that's exactly right. Did you go up there? You did. Did you see me? Oh, you didn't? Oh. Maybe my kids were right, you know. Anyway, Sundance Festival, we did the 2014 Independent Filmmakers Lounge, which was a private invite-only lounge. And what started out as us doing just pulled pork sandwiches for one of their meals turned into 13 meals in 4 days. That's a lot of expense. We knew that it cost us $10,000 to go to the Emmys. We knew it was going to be at least that much for Sundance. So to offset the expense, we contacted Utah Zone and we contacted Utah Specialties, and there's a lot of little companies out there like us or like we were. And we said, listen, if you're up for it, if you want to donate food for 100 people, and if you want to donate product for 50 swag bags, we'll get you into Sundance. We'll get you the exposure with the stars. You got to trust us. You got to believe us. You got to have your product here at this date. We had 35 companies call in the first 14 hours. The email went out at 6 p.m. on Monday night. My phone didn't stop ringing until midnight on Monday night. It started back up at 7 on Tuesday morning, and at 2 o'clock we closed off all the vendors that wanted to come in. We had 25 additional vendors that we sent over to the Utah Film Lounge because we couldn't handle them all. Now, what did we get out of that besides a lot of work and no sleep? We got invited to 4 of the 6 lounges, 4 of the private 6 lounges next year want us to do their food. Not bad. We got, this guy called us up and he said, hey man, I saw your promo that you did for the lounge. That's funny. That's really funny. He says, you ever thought about doing a reality TV show? Okay? No, that's all right. I just didn't know if my time was up or if that's when you're fixing to take your nap or what's going on.
That's what it is, actually.
My time's up?
The timer.
Okay. So, that's from the boss. So anyway, he asked us, he says, would you be interested in doing a reality TV show? Nope. Why not? This is reality TV. I said, first of all, I've seen myself on camera, and it's an ugly sight. Pretty invasive. 2 days later, they call us up. Hey, we're rewatching these outtakes. Are you sure you don't want to do a reality TV show? Yep, I'm sure. Not interested. 2 days later, they called us up again. They said, hey, listen, are you open for a conference call? Yeah, we'll do a conference call. What's the harm of a conference call? So, half hour, my office. No problem. We got a half hour conference call. 3 hours later, the executive producer of The Biggest Loser, a show that had its finale yesterday, said, listen, Kevin, he says, I'd really love to do a show with you. I'm detecting some hesitancy. He says, here is my personal cell phone number. Call me with your questions. Okay? So Jen and I went home and talked about it. 2 days later, we called him up. And he says, listen, I've been looking for a long time for a company that can rival Duck Dynasty, that started in their home or in their garage, that has grown up, that gets into all kinds of antics. He says, I think you guys are the ones. I'd love to do a show. I says, David, man, I gotta be honest with you. It's not gonna work. He says, let me say it this way. It's a 22.5-minute infomercial on Snap Daddies. It'll be shown prime time one night a week, and it'll be seen by 1.4 million eyeballs every time it's shown. Keep going. I'll get to you. I said, all right. He goes, let's look at Duck Dynasty. 5 years ago, nobody heard of them. Nobody knew who they were. They sign a deal. They get on A&E. 5 years later, it's a $2 billion, that's a B as in big, $2 billion franchise. Hunters and non-hunters alike call them up because they got to have a duck call. Okay. So you got a duck call. Need another duck call? Deborah? Just one's fine. I'm good with one. Somebody calls you up, they want a bottle of sauce. 6 weeks later, what happens? They got to have another bottle of sauce. And so on and so forth. He says, I want you to seriously think about that. I said, okay, I'm listening. What do you want for it? Because there's no such thing as a free lunch. He goes, I got to be honest with you, you and Jen have worked so hard on this company. He says, I want nothing to do with the barbecue sauce company. Nothing. I want a piece of the merchandising. Okay, let me think about this. We got logoed shirts, we got logoed hats, we got logoed jackets. We pay for those. We give most of them away, and you're telling me I'm going to make money off of that now? Okay. I can do that. We start filming next week. It's been delayed now 3 times. I thought they were liars to us. I thought they were just putting us on. But now instead of David Broom 25/7 Productions and the executive producer of The Biggest Loser, he signed a little deal with this company called Sony Pictures Television. Maybe you've heard of them. They do shows like Shark Tank, the Queen Latifah show, and this guy named Dr. Oz. So now, instead of walking into a network and he says, hey, I'm David Broom, I'm the executive producer of The Biggest Loser, and this is why you should listen to our new show. He now walks in, he says, I'm David Broom, the executive producer of all reality TV shows, documentaries, and everything for Sony Production Television. This is why you will take us. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with waiting a few weeks. Jen's not. Our whole life is planned around this. No, anyway. You had a question, ma'am?
Yeah, what have you guys done to help yourselves prepare for all this newfound popularity
There's income with this?
Well, eventually there should be. Well, if you're growing, there's never.
That'd be cool, wouldn't it?
Besides going on a diet?
Took a shower. Which reminds me, you know it's not going to be a good class when you walk in and your wife sees the banner and she goes, honey, isn't that like 20 years old, that picture?
Not the one you sent?
Yeah, that's the one I sent. But the reason I sent that is because A, if you see any of my pictures, I don't have a solid face. I'm goofing off somehow. And if I'm not goofing off, I got a hat on. So I dressed up just for your class today and didn't wear a hat.
Appreciate that.
No problem. Good question. Our goal last year was to sell 100,000 bottles. We sold a little over 80.
80,000.
Uh-huh. Our goal this year is 1 million. So we've actually looked at incorporating a co-packer for some of our production. Our kitchen now is going to be turned into local production in a film studio, to be honest with you. Had many a talk with lawyers, many a talk with accountants, all that little stuff you gotta do.
You're paving the way.
Huh? We're trying.
Yeah.
We're trying. Yeah.
All your distributions out of Utah?
For the time being. We just signed a new contract with a company last week that'll get us into Texas and get us into Southern California, Phoenix, and Las Vegas. Okay? Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
You've talked a lot about the success and everything. Have you made any mistakes that you wish you hadn't made?
Yeah, I've made a lot of mistakes. One of them's like starting his business. No, we've made a lot of mistakes. I'll tell you the biggest mistake we've made lately was, and you'll face this as an entrepreneur no matter what, is your cash flow. And we thought that cash flow would come in faster than it did, and that's why we took the chance with the Emmys. And this past month, now that the cash flow's caught up, we've had to eat a lot of crow and go back and apologize to a lot of people that we may have been late on our bill with, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah. Sam.
So do you sell the most sauce during the summer?
Here, we do sell the most sauce because Memorial Day to Labor Day is the majority of our market. Okay? When we move out of here into Texas and into Phoenix and into Las Vegas and Los Angeles, that's year-round barbecue, so we won't have the fluctuation that we have now.
Barbecue is cold.
Well, you and I both, but not most people.
Can we taste your sauce yet?
We're getting there. Megan.
How is it that you're able to maintain such a small staff? Because you said you only have 4 people doing all the work.
That's a good question. The way we're able to maintain a small staff is we never sleep. No. Again, my background is supply chain management. We carry a very, very little inventory, so we run a very lean shop. We produce according to orders, and we always produce a little bit more so that we have some for sampling and that kind of stuff. But it's planning, honestly, is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. A lot of requests to taste your sauce. So what we're going to do is, y'all remember which side's the sweet side? Y'all remember which side's the hot side? I would highly recommend that you start on the sweet side and work your way across. And because we're short on time, what I'm going to do is, if you guys would oblige me, I'd like to read the letter that I wrote to my daughter as her graduation present. Okay? You guys are probably going to get bored, but that's life. It's from the desk of Kevin L. Jones, Salt Lake City, Utah. Graduation letter to my daughter. To my one and only daughter, Kendall. I just wanted to take a moment and tell you a few things that I haven't been able to in the past few years. Now that you are a graduate from high school, and you have told me that you don't need to hear that part. Let's see here. You may be more interested in your phone, or what your friends are wearing, or thinking about plans that you have immediately after graduation, But I hope you hold on to these words as reference to those times when there is no signal. You may feel alone, or you're not sure what the next plan should be. Kendall, I'm writing these words from knowledge, both from what I was taught and what I have learned throughout my life. I first would like to congratulate you on the woman that you are becoming. What a beautiful, smart, energetic desire to work hard and strong-willed that you have become. All these traits will serve you well as you head down the path we call life. I am proud that you did what was needed to graduate from school early. I know it was hard work. I know that it didn't come easy. I know that you had many, many obstacles, and yet, as the phoenix, you have risen from the ashes to start the next phase of your life as a beautiful creature you have become. That being said, if I may take a minute and tell you about the road you are about to travel, at least from the eyes of this big, fat, boring dad. Kendall, when I was your age, I was in much the same place you are today. I had a very successful grandfather who was larger than life, and I had a father who was on the path to being bigger and outshining his father. Both had their own companies that they had started. Both were pillars in the community as well as respected by many. And at that time in my life, neither of them knew what the hell they were doing. They were suffocating, controlling, and if I didn't do it their way, I didn't do it right, nor would they lend their support and helping hand to my cause. The frustration that I had at that time in my life was so much I cannot tell you. I knew in my heart of hearts that I was just as good as them and I didn't need their help. When I had the chance to leave town and go my own way to prove them wrong, I was on the first bus out of town. At that time, I was too smart for the world and I didn't need to go to college. I was going to work my way to the top. I was going to prove them all wrong. It was 2 years later of doing back-breaking labor, finishing cement with my uncle, that I realized my first lesson in life. Working smarter is better than working harder. Had I been a success? Had I been promoted? Was I reliable? The answer to all these was yes. I was making more than 5 times the minimum wage of the day. I was lead for a crew. I never missed a day of work. But in my heart of hearts, I knew there was more for me in my life than my uncle had done for his. I went back to school. It took me a while to get back into the swing of things with school, but I learned that school teaches you 2 things. First is how to ask the right questions, and secondly, the process to find the answer to those questions. It was then that I learned the second lesson in my life, and it's not the questions that you ask, it's how you ask the questions that make the difference. Kendall, I hope you never stop questioning life. To do so would cause you to lose your sense of discovery, your desire to learn, and stifle your growth and creativity in life. It took me many years, many wrong turns, many listenings of bad advice, many failures to become the success that I have become. I am now in the position that my father was many years ago. I wish he had written me a letter of advice as I am writing you, and I hope and pray that when you are in my position, I am still here to be a reference to you. This would be a luxury that my grandfather and my father and I did not have. So with that being said, let me get into the top 5 lessons I have learned that may help you in the future. Number 1, pay it forward. You will find that when you give of yourself, time, and resources willingly, what may at times seem like sacrifice to you and your family will come back to you 100-fold. I have always quoted the great Albert Einstein, for every action is a greater or equal reaction. This is true not only in physics but also in life. Kindness begets kindness, anger begets anger, fear begets fear, and hope begets hope. When you give from your heart, the world will reward you with gifts far greater than you'll ever imagine. Number 2, what is it that you want to be when you grow up? Sound familiar? My father always told me that you should never grow up. Just be responsible. When I counsel companies today who ask how we were able to grow our company so quickly with such success, I always ask, what is it you want to be when you grow up? And we don't need to go into that part. You already heard it. Number 3, when you grow up, who's your competition? I believe we never reinvent the wheel. The great Henry Ford has been known as the godfather of the assembly line. Although this is quite an honor, even he stated that he didn't invent the assembly line, but took the ideas from his father's dairy business. I want you to think about that. Number 4, the biggest paycheck doesn't come at the end of a shift. I have found that there are 2 types of people in the world: 9-to-5ers, workers, and entrepreneurs. One cannot live without the other. Both have benefits, both have risks. There is great security in being a 9-to-5er. There is guaranteed money at the end of the shift. There is more free time, albeit in the short term. And there is much less headaches. To be a 9-to-5er, you must have the mentality and the self-acceptance that I go in, do my job, get paid for my labor, and at the end of the day, this is what monies I have and time I have to spend as I wish. As an entrepreneur, there's no such guarantees. I do not have a set schedule. I do not have a set paycheck. I take all the risks, and I'm the last to be paid. No one cares what time I get up. No one cares what time I go to bed. No one even cares if I deliver on the products or promises that I have made. But if I don't care, no one else will either. With this path, there's much more stress. There are longer hours. There are no guarantees. I will not tell you which is more rewarding. That is for you to decide. But I will tell you that one cannot live without the other. The entrepreneur cannot manifest his true potential without the 9-to-5er, and the 9-to-5er would have nowhere to work without the entrepreneur. What I will tell you is that when you are doing what you love, when you are doing what your foundation will support, the money will be there and your life will be fulfilled and complete. I will also say, the greater the risks, the greater the rewards. And number 5, create a win-win-win situation every time. In manufacturing, there is a saying that the sum is greater than the parts. 2 plus 2 does not always equal 4. If we were to take wood, lead, metal, and rubber in their natural state, they each do not amount to much, but when combined, they create a wonderful tool called a pencil. This device, a pencil, is just that, a tool. It is up to us on how we will use this device for the better or the worse. For example, the pencil can be used to write either a hate letter or a love letter, a symphony or a lie, a truth or a fraud. What I would hope you understand is that life is a series of negotiations, choices if you will. There will be times that you are in the right and have the upper hand. There will be times that you are on the opposite side. Either way, I hope that you take the same approach to your situation in trying to create a win-win-win outcome. What this means is that you create a situation that when everyone gets up from the table, all feel they have won. If you have wronged, admit your faults and move forward. If you are in the right, forgive he whom has wronged. Don't be the individual that has to get the best deal every time. Don't be the right fighter who always has to win. Don't ever paint a man into a corner. Be the individual that makes the rope. Give people enough rope, not just to get by, but to climb to higher heights. Or to hang themselves. Do not be the hangman, just the rope maker. My grandfather once told me to be nice to everyone on the way up. You may have to pass them on the way down. It is this advice I give you to strive to create a win-win-win situation every time. You will have to give in, you will have to give up something, but it is better in the long run to lose the battle and reserve your energy and resources to live to fight another day in which you can win the war. I know we're short on time.
No,
We're over.
Okay.
We're okay.
So the last part is, and this is what I gave my daughters, and I challenge each and every one of you to do it. You've read it before. I challenge you to read it again. It's Dr. Seuss's The Places You Will Go. It is literally a great, great manual for life. Sorry,
Dr. Seuss's Places Where You Go?
The Places You Will Go.
The Places You Will Go.
Yep.
Okay.
So thanks, guys. Hopefully you liked the sauce. Any questions, let us know. Sorry I took so much time, Doc.
You're great. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks. Big hand for Kevin. That was wonderful. What sauce was best?
They're all good.
They're all good? There you go.
A lot of grocery stores in Utah.
Any Fresh Market, Macy's, Dan's, Dick's, Lynn's, Harmon's, Lee's. And before you leave, what sauce did you like the best?
Sweet.
Come get you one.
Oh, thank you.
Like I said, we're like every good drug dealer. First hit's free.
That was great, Kevin.
Make sure you come out this way. That way Jen can get you a bottle of sauce. You can throw away your trash. Thanks again.
Great job. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry I was